For those of you I haven't met, my name is Melissa Murfin, and I have the privilege of being the chair of the Department of Physician Assistant Studies. On behalf of our entire department, welcome to the white coat ceremony for the class of 2020. In addition to the students who have been counting down the days until today, we are pleased to welcome family, friends, faculty, and staff as we gather today to celebrate this special occasion. We are honored to have Dean Bierman from Elon Law, Dean Bullock from the School of Education, and Dean Tadapalli from the School of Business, who've also joined us today. We would also love to recognize our colleagues from Graduate Admissions, without whom today would not be possible. And we would also like to thank Reverend Jan Fuller, who graciously allows us to use this beautiful space every year. And as always, a special thanks to Ms. Lynn Wentz, who starts planning months in advance to make sure every moment of this day is perfect. As you can see, we are lucky to have a lot of support here at Elon, and we are very grateful to be here celebrating this landmark for the students. The white coat ceremony marks the transition of academic medicine to one of clinical practice. It reminds us that medicine is practiced most effectively when dispensed with compassion, humility, and the gift of healing. It also reminds us of the tradition of preparing PAs for the care of patients, care of their families, and care for themselves, so they can always be at their very best when it is most needed. Being a PA is a gift, as well as a responsibility. Today is a time for our students to celebrate the accomplishment of successfully completing a very demanding academic year. Sorry, not sorry. We welcome all of you, knowing you have each played an integral role in helping make this day possible for the Elon University PA class of 2020. At this time, I'd like to introduce Dr. Becky Nadusky, Dean of the School of Health Sciences, who joins us today to celebrate this important milestone. Please join me in welcoming Dean Nadusky.
On behalf of the School of Health Sciences, I would like to welcome you all to the 2018 White Coat Ceremony. To the faculty, staff, and administrators present from across campus, thank you for the wisdom, guidance, and support you offered our students through this challenging, didactic year of their education. To the families and loved ones here today, thank you for offering a solid foundation, a listening ear, and unconditional love to our students as they adapted to their new lives as graduate students. And to our students. As I look out at you, I see excitement, gratitude, and compassion. I see well-prepared students ready to move into the next phase of their PA education, the greatly anticipated clinical year. The opportunity to get to know you and spend time with you this past year has been both a joy and a privilege for me. From the presidential video to the Polka Dot Mama Foundation and vascular screenings to the Great Cape Escape, your energy is infectious, and your commitment to Elon, the Department of Physician Assistant Studies, and our community make me incredibly proud. The white coat you will receive today is a symbol that we believe in you, that you have completed the didactic requirements and are ready to advance your learning and represent Elon University in the community and in clinical environments. Rather than thinking of this as a finish line, you should be prepared to start again. You will engage with new teachers, some of whom may not be PAs. You'll be challenged to think on your feet and sent back to your resources to check and double check, making sure your tests, diagnoses, and treatments are efficacious. You will have moments of great vulnerability. Cherish these, as humility is a trait often undervalued in the health professions. But most often, you will be amazed by how much you know, how much you have learned, and how much you have grown over the past year. You are ready. At Elon University and within the School of Health Sciences, we are committed to fostering respect for human differences, passion for a life of learning, personal integrity, and an ethic of work and service. The Department of Physician Assistant Studies has taught you to fulfill the vision of learning, caring, serving, and leading. As you receive your white coat today, I encourage you to embrace those ideals and make us proud. Thank you.
Yeah, he's been warned. Good morning, everyone. At this time, it's my pleasure to introduce Dr. Tim Oakes, who was selected by the students to give his white coat presentation today, and I must tell you, is backed by popular demand at this event. So Dr. Oakes is a graduate of the Pennsylvania State University School of Medicine, where he subsequently completed his internship, general surgery residency, and his cardiothoracic surgery residency. He was associated with Wake Forest School of Medicine and practiced cardiovascular surgery at North Carolina Baptist Hospital for many years, before joining Burlington Surgical Associates and Cone Health several years ago. We're so glad that he did, because it wasn't long after he arrived here that he learned about the program, and the rest is history. He's been involved with us since the very beginning. Oh my gosh. Okay, I shouldn't have looked at him. In addition to his very busy clinical schedule, he provides lectures throughout numerous courses in the program. He instructs in the Human Donor Lab and teaches skills. Who here knows how to put in a chest tube, or at least thinks they do? Yeah, this group over here. And he also precepts our clinical year students. Students appreciate his dedication to their learning and the high standards he sets for them. His dedication to the program was recognized by the honorary membership in Pi Alpha, the PA Honor Society, at the class of 2016 graduation. And I have to share with you, on top of all this, he's someone who sends us a thank you note for allowing him to teach in the program. So at this time, please join me in welcoming Dr. Tim Oakes, who's going to share this important transition message to our students entitled Lessons from a Book of Proverbs. Thank you.
Well, thank you very much, Dr. Reagan. To all of our Elon administrators, to Dean Nadusky, welcome. To the Elon faculty, to all of our families and friends, I say thank you for coming. And finally, to the class of 2020. You did it. I want to say thank you very much for inviting me to speak today, and it really is a great honor to do that. And at first, I thought it was because you might actually think I would do a good job. But then I realized you probably felt guilty since you didn't invite me to the PA prom. And so this is the consolation prize here. Well, let me begin by telling you a fanciful story that begins in 1776 in Salem, North Carolina, with the arrival of Katharina Mueller. She was a nurse midwife from Germany. Katharina was a mature, thoughtful, and well-educated woman. And as the only healthcare provider in Salem, North Carolina, by necessity, she quickly expanded her practice to include both medicine and surgery. On May 31st, 1791, President George Washington visited Salem, and he was treated by Katharina for a large abscess on his left thigh. She lanced the infection and packed his wound with linen soaked in a tobacco leaf extract, and she gave detailed instructions to Washington's physicians back in Philadelphia. Having been cured, the grateful Washington frequently wrote to Katharina for advice, and they remained friends until his death. By the end of the 18th century, Katharina was recognized as one of the best healthcare providers in Western North Carolina, and in 1796, she opened a school for healthcare providers in Salem. Washington recognized the depth of her knowledge, her commitment to her patients, and her dedication to a lifetime of constant learning. He urged Katharina to write a book so that all students interested in healthcare could benefit from her life experiences. But Katharina was not an academician, nor was she an author. So she decided to write a book of Proverbs with short explanations to illustrate her knowledge and her wisdom. And it is from this 220-year-old book of Proverbs that I would like to choose 3 of those to share with you today. These 3 proverbs are just as true and applicable today as they were in Katerina's time, and they will be so for many centuries to come. The first proverb was so important to Katerina that she actually wrote it over a dozen times in her book in one way or another. To her, the greatest attribute to success in taking care of patients was knowledge. Katerina wrote the first sentence in her book as the very first proverb. The eyes cannot see what the mind does not know. The eyes cannot see what the mind does not know. Katerina correctly explained that if you don't know that a disease exists, it's probably unlikely that you'll ever diagnose it, let alone cure a patient who has it. So knowledge is the absolute foundation to your success. Without it, you'll be forever perplexed and frustrated. But wait, you say, I can never know it all. I can't remember what the signs and symptoms of acute posterior multifocal placoid pigmented epitheliopathy are. I forget what aplasia cutis congenital intestinal lymphangiectasia is, or what happens to a patient who has Abel-Ferron macrostomia syndrome. What am I going to do? How can I remember everything in those big, thick textbooks? Well, class, if you thought I had the answer, well, you're mistaken. Even my esteemed colleagues on this side of the aisle, they don't know it all. But they do have one thing that has made all of them successful, and that is the desire to learn. It's understandable if you forget what agyria, pachygyria, polymicrogyria is. Do you know? It is absolutely, positively not okay to be comfortable with not knowing. Look it up. Learn how to learn. If you are not willing to learn, no one can help you. If you are determined to learn, no one can stop you. A contemporary of Katerina's, the esteemed statesman Benjamin Franklin, said that an investment in knowledge pays the best interest. And in his September 1785 issue of Poor Richard's Almanac, Benjamin Franklin wrote the following: "Tell me, and I'll forget. Teach me, and I may remember. Involve me, and I will learn." So, class, what are you going to do when confronted with a patient whose signs and symptoms you don't recognize? What are you going to do with a disease you never even heard of? What are you going to do when your eyes are not capable of seeing the disease because the mind does not know? Well, first take the advice of Hippocrates, the father of medicine, when he said that whenever a doctor cannot do good, he must be kept from doing harm. So, class, be smart enough to know when you need help and be brave enough to ask for it. Remember that it's far more important to know what you don't know than what you do know. You must never be ashamed of saying, "I don't know." But you must never, ever, ever say, "I don't know and I don't care." For arrogance in medicine will surely lead to unwelcomed outcomes. Is all this accumulation of knowledge easy? Of course not. Is it time-consuming? You bet. But don't tell me you don't have time. You have exactly the same number of hours per day that were given to Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, Thomas Jefferson, and Albert Einstein. If it's important to you, you will find a way. If it's not, you'll find an excuse. So, number one, knowledge. The eyes cannot see what the mind does not know. Katerina was committed to her patients. Washington was profoundly moved by Katerina's commitment to him and to all of her patients. He once remarked to John Adams that she demonstrated a remarkable ability to see the big picture and that she was a committed and compassionate healthcare provider. One day, while Katerina was eating her breakfast of ham and eggs, she realized how much her breakfast actually reminded her of a key principle that she wanted to share with her students. And she wrote the second proverb that I want to share with you now. She wrote, "The chicken is involved, but the pig is committed." The chicken is involved, but the pig is committed. Katerina wanted her students to understand that it was not enough to be involved in a patient's care like the chicken was, but you had to be committed to the patient's care like the pig. In other words, you had to have some skin or some bacon in the game, if you will. It was not enough to listen to the patient's complaints, but rather it was best to understand the entire conversation, including all the words that are left unsaid. She did not want to be merely involved in writing a prescription for an elixir or potion, but she was committed to success by diligently following her patients over the next few days and weeks. Katerina recognized the importance of body and soul, and she tried to convey to her students that a good physician treats the disease, but a great physician treats the patient with the disease. She learned from her mistakes, and she always looked for ways to improve. She tried to learn everything she could, and she always placed her patients first. And she never met a single person from whom she could not learn something of value. Katerina was committed and not just involved. So class, what does this mean for us in today's healthcare environment? Well, it means exactly the same thing that it meant to Katerina. Be committed, not involved. Be committed to your patients. Make the extra phone call. Ask just a few more questions. Spend a few more minutes with the family. Research an unusual complaint. Console the bereaved. Counsel those in need. And most importantly, provide hope to those with despair. Helping one person will not change the world, but it may change the world for one person. Commitment should not be viewed as a chore or a duty, but rather it is a gift to both you and your patients. It seems obvious how your commitment may benefit the patient, but how can it be a gift to you as well? Well, you can have peace of mind and you can sleep well at night, knowing that you are committed and not just involved. You will find solace in knowing that you have done all you can. No stone has been left unturned. No diagnosis is impulsively excluded. No treatment option is left unexplored. You have given it your all. Be committed to excellence, and success will follow. Simple surgeons like myself express it this way: cut well, sew well, sleep well. Is commitment really all that hard? You bet it is. But remember, it is never the wrong time to do the right thing, and it is never the right time to do the wrong thing. So work hard every day and do the right thing, and know that the days that break us are the days that make us. And when it's all over, let your tombstone read, "The chicken is involved, but the pig is committed." The third and final proverb of Katerina's that I want to share with you is my favorite. But perhaps it's the hardest of all to actually implement into our own lives. This proverb isn't fulfilled in a few days or months or even a few years, but rather it takes an entire lifetime to see it come to fruition. On the last page of her book of Proverbs, she wrote the following paragraph, quote, "I have been in practice for almost 35 years, and never have things stayed the same. Therefore, to inspire my students to a dedicated lifetime of learning, I write this proverb. Today's science will be tomorrow's folly. Today's science will be tomorrow's folly. Class, you have just spent the last year at one of the most rigorous and grueling PA programs in the country. You have studied, learned, memorized, recited, studied some more, poked and prodded, dissected, studied some more, quizzed, examined, studied some more, cried, laughed, and yes, studied some more. But to what avail was all that? Some things you learned will no longer be applicable in 20 years, 2 years, maybe even 2 weeks. I think back to my own training. Surgery for duodenal ulcer disease was one of the most common operations performed. But now, drugs to diminish gastric acid secretion have almost completely eliminated an entire field of surgery. Drugs that I commonly used have now been removed from the market because we now know that they didn't work, caused cancer, or have been replaced with better ones. Digoxin was given to millions of patients to treat heart failure, but it's now relegated to the dustbin of pharmacology. The same can be said of many of the drugs that I used in the past: tetracycline, thalidomide, isoproterenol. All have been replaced with new classes of drugs that didn't even exist when I was in your shoes. And even entire diseases must be rethought. Gastric acid secretion was always the cause of peptic ulcer disease, but now we know that H. pylori, a bacterium, is a common cause of ulcers, and the list goes on and on. Katerina saw this in her practice as well. Edward Jenner had just discovered a vaccination against smallpox, one of the 18th century's most deadly diseases. The etiology and treatment of scurvy had just recently been described, opening up the entire discipline of health and nutrition. The microscope was being introduced into clinical medicine, and it changed the theories behind transmissible diseases forever. And for Katerina, the list went on and on. Thomas Edison once said, "Show me a thoroughly satisfied man, and I will show you a failure." Class, never be complacent with your education. Every day is filled with unlimited potential for knowledge. And remember that the man who graduates today and stops learning tomorrow is uneducated the day after. So be dedicated to a lifetime of learning. Your patients desire it, and they deserve it. It was true 220 years ago, and it'll be true 220 years from now. Today's science will be tomorrow's folly. Class of 2020, years from now, the details of this day will be a foggy, wispy memory, but I hope you will remember these 3 proverbs to carry with you for the rest of your career. Knowledge. The eyes cannot see what the mind does not know. Commitment. The chicken is involved, but the pig is committed. Dedication. Today's science will be tomorrow's folly. Thank you, class, and congratulations on a job well done.
We want to thank Dr. Oakes for those inspiring words, and we also have a gift from the students for Dr. Oakes. Dr. Oakes has been teacher, preceptor, speaker for us since the beginning of the program, so we're always thrilled to have you, and we just are really grateful that you're with us. All right. We have now arrived at the exciting time. where each of the students will receive their white coats. We ask everyone to remain seated during this time.
Meredith Abernethy. Taylor Babin. Jennifer Baker. Masha Balaya. Morgan Beston Laneher. Blaine Brown. Beatriz Bustamante. Caroline Cheek. Samantha Couillard. Shannon DiFilippo. Travis Ford. Cadence Firth. Garrett Green. Kristen Hancock. Melissa Haug. Priscilla Haug. Candace Hayes. Brianna Henson. Dion Kamtarine. Naomi Landry. Alice Maddox. Evelyn Martinez. Caroline McBain. Kanan McConan. Rebecca Mitchell. Robert Nelson. He couldn't be with us today, but he has two colleagues accepting for him, Beatrice Bustamante and Evelyn Martinez. Kevin Nguyen. Bashia Oldmeyer. Matthew Sheeler. Haley Swatzel. Ali Tabib Najad. Joku Tang. Kelsey Thomas. Hunter Vila. Destiny Walters. Max Wilmot. Johanna Young. Now, may we have a round of applause for the class of 2020. Professors Tracy Thurnis and Lindsay Collins will lead us in the PA oath.
All right, you all ready? All right. I pledge to perform the following duties with honesty and dedication. I will hold as my primary responsibility the health, safety, welfare, and dignity of all human beings. I will uphold the tenets of patient autonomy, beneficence, non-maleficence, and justice. I will recognize and promote the value of diversity. I will treat equally all persons who seek my care. I will hold in confidence the information shared in the course of practicing medicine. I will assess my personal capabilities and limitations, striving always to improve my medical practice. I will actively seek to expand my knowledge and skills, keeping abreast of advances in medicine. I will work with other members of the healthcare team to provide compassionate and effective care of patients. I will use my knowledge and experience to contribute to an improved community. I will respect my professional relationship with a physician. I will share and expand knowledge within the profession. These duties are pledged with sincerity and upon my honor. So I think that deserves another round of applause. All right, if you all will be seated. We are now going to have Class of 2020 co-presidents Jen Baker and Max Wilmot come up and share some words. Thank you. All right. Well, congratulations, everyone. We did it. For those of you who don't know me, my name is Jennifer Baker, and I am honored to be the Elon PA Student Society co-president with Max. It has been a privilege working alongside Max, EPAS execs, and faculty during such an incredible year at Elon. It is amazing to think of all we have accomplished as a class in a little less than 12 months, both inside the classroom and out. This is especially impressive if you consider we are in class for what seems like 99 hours a day. Sorry, Dion, I had to. Our professors told us from day one that they can't make the mountain any smaller, but
but they can be our Sherpas along the journey. And that they did. It is truly something that I admired when I decided to come to Elon. Every one of the faculty members made you feel like the journey mattered to them on a personal level, like we were part of their family, and they were so excited to celebrate along with us on all of our accomplishments. But like family, they were also there when we struggle. There was at least 1 or 2 times this year when I had a bad exam or something else was going on, and they were there with the tissue box and a hug. It is this compassion that our professors instill in us that already make us incredible physician assistant students and eventually practicing PAs. So thank you so very much to all of our professors, faculty, and administrative staff. And speaking of incredibly compassionate physician assistant students, in the words of Professor Lynch, let's take a TO and recognize some of the amazing things our class has done this year. We hit the ground running, both literally and figuratively, while many of our classmates trained to run the brain tumor race down in Charlotte and supported our fellow School of Health Science classmates at the Hope Clinic 5K. We as a class have volunteered hundreds of hours at places like Polka Dot Mama for skin cancer screenings, donated our time and blood for our SHS blood drive, taught elementary school students about healthy habits, and most importantly, volunteered hundreds of hours at Open Door Clinic and the Great Cape Escape. I'd like to give another huge shout out to Meredith and Shannon and everyone involved in planning and organizing our 5, 10, and now 15K race for our Open Door Clinic this year. You guys, we raised over $25,000. It's incredible. And even this holiday season, thanks to Destiny, we were able to raise over $550 towards a family in need with the help of the faculty and staff. As a class, we were also able to have a lot of fun times too. Whether it was getting into shape during Best Aligners Booty Camp, playing Fortnite during lunch, playing intramural football, soccer, or volleyball, or celebrating birthdays. We knew how to have a lot of fun. I mean, thanks to Bee's hard work, not only was there a royal wedding at a castle this summer, we also had our prom at one too. And when we needed to get away from it all, we took advantage of the beautiful North Carolina scenery and went outdoors hiking and renting cabins in the mountains. Truthfully, though, we put in a lot of hard hours of studying, and thanks to Rob's love of coffee, we were well caffeinated for those days. I'd like to give a huge shout out to KevBot, whose study guides helped me get through a lot of tests this year. I don't think I would have passed a lot of them without his help. And there were many. I learned to just start thinking of PA school as finals week, but every week. While at first it seemed impossible that we would survive 4 tests in 1 week, it now seems at least doable, but I still wouldn't recommend it for anyone trying to lower their blood pressure. What I'm trying to say is we really did it, guys. I kept telling myself that I just need to get to White Coat, and truthfully, I don't think I understood that it was a real day until today, because honestly, it never seemed like it would get here. But here we are, we did it. And I know many of you, like me, need to give a huge thank you to all of our families and friends for their patience, their love, and their support. They have listened to us vent about our stress, practiced being our standardized patients, been poked and prodded. I now know my fiance really does not like it when people look in his ear with an otoscope. They know that we might not be able to make it to every graduation, wedding, or family reunion because of an upcoming test that we cannot miss. So thank you again to all of our families and friends. Congratulations, everyone. Good luck at clinical rotations, and remember, you have what it takes.
Once upon a time, the class of 2020 vanquished the CASPA, appropriated in-person interviews, elicited currency from Her Royal Majesty the Fed, and claimed our new fortress, the Fran, aka the Gerald L. Francis Center. My name is Max Wilmot, and as Jen said, it's been an absolute privilege to serve as our class's co-president. As is often the case at the end of any grand adventure, reflection has taken me on its own journey. I would be remiss if I didn't give a shout out to Professors Moore, Lynch, and Thurnis, whose reflection papers played a large role in compelling me to really consider the lessons of this year. I'd like to borrow lyrics from one of my favorite songs called Beloved. Time is a thief who surely steals everything, but in my case, it just cleared out the waste for me. I often reflect on this line, and this year, I can't help but feel as though it has taken on a new meaning for all of us. We often hear that the didactic portion We often hear that the didactic portion is one of the slowest, fastest years of our lives. And according to the second years, clinicals are even faster. Yet I find that, at least personally, it is so easy to be a passive observer as the challenges and circumstances of life fly by, constantly trying to get to whatever's next. The next lecture, the next assignment, the next test, the next lab, the next season in life, whatever it may be. In his book, When Breath Becomes Air, Dr. Paul Kalanithi said it best. These days, time feels less like the ticking clock and more like a state of being. Medical training is relentlessly future-oriented, all about delayed gratification. You're always thinking about what you'll be doing in 5 years down the line. Yet, as we are about to enter this next step in clinical training, what can we take a moment to pause and learn from? I still remember almost 2 years ago from this date, a nervous young lad entered the office of Dr. Bennett. She asked a very poignant question that has continued to stick with me. What is an example of a situation that didn't turn out quite as you had imagined? Perhaps some of you had to think through this. Maybe even in the midst of all this excitement today, a question like this still lingers. To be honest, this question caught me quite off guard, as this was not on one of the many blogs of the top 100 PA questions to prepare for. Nonetheless, I attempted to be real and candid with her and explained how my chosen route of accruing healthcare experience felt less competitive than many other applicants. Fast forward to post-acceptance. Each one of us heard how hard the program would be, the many things we would have to sacrifice to continue on. Nevertheless, at least in my experience, until we entered the thick of it, with what often, as Jen said, felt like finals week every single week of our lives, I did not understand what it would be like. Priscilla, in her recent blog post, mentioned how Professor Collins warned her that there would be many a night when you had to choose between 2 of 3 options: study, eat, or shower. Yet I think there's a lesson here as well. Sometimes throughout the year, I needed a slight change of scenery, and I would go to the library on main campus. I would hear the undergrads struggle through their exams and assignments, talking through the challenges they were facing. Embarrassingly and selfishly, I fell into the trap of comparison, thinking to myself, if they only knew what PA school was like. I found myself realizing how wrong that was, though. How many of our parents and faculty members would be able to look at my struggles and say, if he only knew, fill in the blank. And yet they never demeaned the struggle, but instead they empathized, stood with us, encouraged us, fought with us. As we go into clinic, this is the attitude I would implore each of us to take. It is a cliche, but there's always someone who is struggling more than we are. And there is always someone struggling in ways which we have the ability to care for. This is our duty, and as we just recited, this is our oath. In many ways, PA school is akin to living in a foreign country. You're daily immersed in a language that makes no sense, where you find yourself at times thinking, people actually understand this? Slowly, your hippocampal pathways form anew to begin deciphering the hieroglyphics of, to borrow from Professor McLam, the biz. Coming back around full circle to that initial interview question with Dr. Bennett, the second part was equally as helpful. It didn't end at simply reflecting on an unexpected outcome, but instead, what did you do to overcome that? And this is the question I would like to leave with us all. For me, to be candid, through the challenges and failures of this year, I believe the Lord was showing me first my need for Him, but also my need for others, my family, my classmates, my professors, my friends. What was it for you? As you can tell, I love a good quote. And I would be absolutely remiss if I didn't leave you with a quote from my favorite movie. Unfortunately for many, it is not a certain movie about a young man with a particular scar on a journey to discover his wizarding destiny. Instead, it is the story of a young hobbit. The most vulnerable and unlikely creature in the world. who commits to travel to the most dangerous place in the world in order to save the world from looming evil. Yet what is amazing is that this hobbit, Frodo Baggins, has to make many small decisions over time to get to the point of his ultimate goal. In a pivotal moment in which he begins questioning the journey altogether, he expresses to his dear friend that he wishes none of this had happened to him. The wise friend's reply is what I would like to leave you with. So do all who live to see such times, but that is not for them to decide. All we have to decide is what to do with the time that is given to us. There are other forces at work in this world, Frodo, besides the will of evil. Bilbo was meant to find the ring, in which case you also were meant to have it. And that is an encouraging thought. This is an incredibly exciting day. Each one of us was meant to be here. We've made it through the fire into the next step, and we will take the next step after that. We would not be here without the many people in this room with us today, parents, faculty, staff, friends. This ceremony is a testament to their support as much as anything else. So, Meredith, Taylor, Jen, Masha, Morgan, Blaine, Bea, Cheek, Sam, Shannon, Travis, Cadence, Garrett, Kristen, Melissa, Priscilla, Candace, Bree, Dion, Naomi, Alice, Evelyn, Kenan, Becca, McBain, Rob, Kevin, Bashi, Matt, Haley, Ali, Mark, Kelsey, Hunter, Destiny, and Johanna. Congratulations. One more line, sorry. I'm so grateful for each of you. Let's keep up the good work and forge through the annals of time to represent this incredible profession well. And in the words of Rob, what a treat. Thank you.
On behalf of myself and the entire department, congratulations to the class of 2020 for completing the first chapter of your PA education. Y'all, it has been a year. You have seen everything from snow days to hurricane days and met the challenges with resilience that will benefit you in clinical rotations and clinical practice. We have learned much about you during the past 12 months that you have spent with us. You are an extremely smart and talented class. You have pitched in to help each other and those in the community around us. Y'all, $25,000. That is amazing. Congratulations to all of you for your hard work. When one of you has struggled, there's been a safety net of classmates around to catch you and keep you going. Even with all of the tests that people might have mentioned, and tribulations along the way, you still are having fun and smiling. You are truly a very special PA class. We know that we'll hear more good things about you during your clinical rotations. We feel confident that you will be an advocate for and make a difference in the lives of the patients for which you care and the communities in which you live. It is an exciting time to see you move on to this next step in your journey. So we've done Harry Potter in the office all year. So today, for the Lord of the Rings fans, we did not plan this. I will paraphrase Bilbo Baggins. Adventures don't have an end. It is your turn to carry on the story into clinical year. This concludes our ceremony. In just a moment, I'll ask the class of 2020 to stand and file out to the hallway where they'll assemble for their class white coat photo. Once our caterers have finished putting the finishing touches on the buffet in the back, we'll invite our guests to enjoy the desserts and drinks located in the back of the room. Class of 2020, will you please stand?